All right, my friend Mike Schur is here. You know, in the horror movies, when there's the one guy in the horror movie who keeps pointing out to everybody else that something bad's going to happen and nobody believes him. And he almost starts to seem annoying after a little while, but then it turns out he was right and somebody's coming out of the basement. You've been that way with the Miami Heat on our Celtics text thread all year. You've been very focused on it. All these dumb garbage losses. The Heat were like 10-12. They were 13-14. Like they were never a threat to anyone but you. And now they're still lingering, and we're going to go into how weird their season has been. We're talking about sports hate right now. We don't actually hate these people, but we sports hate certain teams, the Yankees, the Lakers. I sports hate the Heat. I just want them to go away, and I know they won't.
This is the problem with the Heat, is they don't go away. They're the equivalent of the Steelers, I would say, in the NFL, where like the Steelers start out like 3-7. You're like, this is the year that they fall apart. And at the end of the year, somehow they're like, whatever, 9-8, and they still don't have a losing season, and they're in the mix going into the last weekend, and they might make the playoffs, and and if they do, they're dangerous. Nobody wants to play them in the playoffs. That's the Miami Heat. I've been yelling and screaming about this. This is invasion of the body snatchers, and I have been saying the whole year, like, don't let these guys linger. And one of the problems has been, these teams that play them, they rest all their guys. They're like, we don't care. They're a middling team. So like the Nuggets rest Jokic and the Bucks rest Giannis. And then the Heat squeak out these 2-3 point wins. And you look up and suddenly I said this in our thread the other night, we are careening toward a 2-7 first round matchup, Celtics Heat. And I am going to be terrified because there is no question that the Heat will zombie come back, and like the game 3, it'll be 1-1, and game 3 in Miami, the Heat will be up 93-91 with 2.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and we will be watching our entire season go down the drain. That is my fear.
Yeah, they lose game 2 like 100-64, and it's like the worst shooting performance in playoff history. And then the next game, they're down 10 in the fourth quarter, and all of a sudden it's a 15-0 run, and Bam makes the 3 straight shots with 1 second left on the shot clock, falling away from 24 feet, followed by Butler careening into 3 guys, and 1. All of a sudden you're losing. You don't know what happened. Joe Mazzulla hasn't called a timeout. And you're like, what just happened? We were just up 10 5 seconds ago. That's the Heat.
Yeah, you're up 10, and then Butler gets fouled and goes to the line. And he hits both free throws, and you're like, whatever. And then the next time down, he gets fouled again, and he goes to the line, and he hits both free throws. And then Marcus Smart takes a 3, an ill-advised 3, and the rebound goes long, and suddenly Max Strus hits a 3 in transition, and the 10-point lead is totally gone, and the crowd is losing its mind. And Jimmy Butler on the game is 3 for 5 from the field with 41 points because he's hit so many free throws. And that, to me, it's not just that they win these games, it's how they win them is so irritating. It's just so endlessly irritating. I did this research. I did some research for you, Bill. Listen to this.
Oh, okay. The research. I didn't realize you were bringing research to the podcast.
I did research. Miami Heat this year are 29th in field goal percentage. They're last in the league in points. They're last, obviously, in field goals made. They are 28th in 3-point percentage. They're 26th in rebounds and 23rd in assists. You look at those numbers on paper and you're like, well, that's a lottery team. That's the Orlando Magic.
You left out their negative point differential.
They have been
minus 0.5 point differential.
Yes. However, what are they good at, you ask? They are tied for second in free throw percentage. They are third in steals. They are 5th in the fewest turnovers. They win games by turning the ball over off of other teams, not turning the ball over themselves, and hitting free throws. That is the most annoying way that you can be a playoff team in the NBA by far.
I did some research as well. And there's even some worse stats than what you just listed. First of all, they're 33-29, and they're 22-37 against the spread with 3 pushes. So if that doesn't they have 11 more wins than covers, which is like basically impossible. Their expected win-loss is 30-32. 43 of their 62 games so far this year have been close in the last 5 minutes. And they're 24-19 in those games. And then they have all these great stats on NBA.com, and you can look at the per 100 numbers just in the last 5 minutes. And the Heat, as you mentioned, bad offense. They're 27th in offensive rating, 4th in defensive rating for the entire game. You get to the last 5 minutes, all of a sudden they have a 110 offensive rating and a 100 defensive rating per 100 possessions.
God damn it.
Suddenly turned into the 2004 Pistons out of nowhere. They had an 11-game streak that just earlier this month of just every game they played was close for 11 straight games. Think how long that is. That's like 3 straight weeks of just them. Every game comes down the wire. And if you go back and you look at all the recaps, it's like Heat rally again. Heat come back again. It's like they're fucking Michael Myers. I hate their guts.
It is 100% Michael Myers. It is every game in the last minute. Let me, if I may, can I make a public service announcement to the NBA teams that are listening to this? Here's a public service announcement. At some point in your game against the Miami Heat, one of you will be dribbling into the lane, probably coming off a screen, and you will see one of your teammates flashing from the corner to the low post, and you will be tempted to attempt a pass to that player. You will not complete that pass. Will not be completed.
Yeah,
that pass will be tipped by Gabe Vincent or by Jimmy Butler or by Bam Adebayo, and the Heat will be running the other way. That worked in college and against a zone like the one the Heat run. It may have worked in high school. It will not work against the Heat. I am so sick of watching these teams. So few NBA teams play the degree of zone defense that the Heat do, that I think sometimes it takes teams a full quarter to remember that they're in a zone. And once they remember, it was like, okay, we know how to do this. Somebody flashes to the high post. We rotate here, we rotate there. They eventually figure it out, and then the Heat adjust too. But for that quarter, the team that is playing the Heat loses its mind. And they're like, oh, I know how to do it. I'm just going to dump it. This guy's coming in from the corner. I'll dump it. That ball is intercepted. Every one of those passes is intercepted. And that is why they're, whatever it is, top 3 in turnovers and steals, is because teams just forget how to play zone, how to play against a zone. And because of that, they win 94-93 because the other teams, that game the other night against the Sixers. Did you watch that game?
I did.
It's so infuriating. It was like, and the Sixers had a shot to win it. Harden had that 3 to win it, but like they just utterly fell apart. Like Embiid didn't look like Embiid, and Harden didn't even look like Harden. None of their, like Tobias Harris played 35 minutes and scored 2 points. When's the last time Tobias Harris scored 2 points in 35 minutes in any game in his entire life? It's got to be when he was in 3rd grade. The last time he was held to 2 points.
Butler had a play when he drove through 2 guys, jumped in the air, and did a reverse layup where he basically just threw the ball up in the air. And it went up like 25 feet in the air and somehow banked in. And the announcer didn't know what to do. He's like, I don't even know how to describe what just happened. So you mentioned they're last in the league in points per game. This was in John Schumann's Monday column. They're the only team in the last 10 years that's seen a bigger season-to-season drop-off in 3-point percentage. They led the league in 3-point percentage last year, and this year they've dropped all the way down. They're 33%.
They're 28th.
They're 28th in the league.
Yeah.
The only other team that's had a drop off like that season to season was the Warriors after they made the finals when Clay got hurt, Durant left, and Curry played 5 games. It's the only other time this has happened.
That's amazing.
They have Lowry, Strus, Oladipo, Vincent, new addition Kevin Love, and Duncan Robinson are all under 40% from as for field goal percentage. So 6 out of every 10 shots, at least, that basically 2/3 of their rotation takes is going to miss. And yet for some reason they hang around. So I looked through it because I was like, maybe there's less games than we thought, right? Just going back to the start of the year. Remember they beat the Kings. Hero hit the 3 with 2 seconds left. They beat the Charlotte in OT. They beat Phoenix by 1, where they came back from 14th in the 4th, and Phoenix missed 3 game winners so Miami could win. They beat the Celtics in OT, 120-116, when Butler hit like 7 crazy shots. They beat OKC by 2. Hero hit a game winner with 5 seconds left, and OKC somehow missed 2 game winners in the last 5 seconds. They beat Houston by 3. Porter missed a game tying 3. They beat Minnesota by 3. Minnesota never got off a shot. They beat Utah. Hero, another game-winning 3. That's the other thing. He's like Larry Bird at the end of these games. They beat OKC by 1 where Butler gets a 3-point play. OKC doesn't get a shot off. And that's the game you mentioned. Miami goes 40 for 40 from the line. And that was the game when I was finally like, Mike's right.
40.
Mike's like, you don't understand. They went 40 out of 40 for the free throw. All right, Mike's out of something. New Orleans, they come back from 15 and win. Boston, we're beating them by 10. All of a sudden, they go on a 15-0 run, and then Tatum throws the ball away on that zone pass you talk about to lose. Yep. Butler gets a dunk to beat Houston with 0.3 seconds left by 2.
That was the worst one of all of them. That was the worst one of all of them. Yeah, that actually,
Houston might have tanked that one too.
They might have. And there are 0.3 seconds left on an inbounds pass. There is only one play they can run. That play is a lob. And the idea that you don't just put in your 5 tallest guys and guard against the lob is insane because no other shot is possible. And they just let Butler come around a double screen.
Especially
and jump
him.
Up and,
you know it's going to him.
Yes, it's him or bam, that's it. So that to me was I could not believe they should have lost to Houston. They should be losing so many of these games to so many terrible teams, and they're eking them out. And then you look up, and they're the 7th seed. It's 2 more. They
beat the Magic in OT. Paolo missed a game-winning drive in regulation. Now, if you watch him last night, he was a stone cold killer. And then last night, the Philly game, where they win at the end, and Philly completely falls apart. That's one of the things this Miami team does is they ratchet up something in the last 4 minutes and the other team's just completely discombobulated, but you don't even really understand what's happening. It's like James Harden yesterday. It's just misses a 6-footer on the baseline, right? Yeah. It's like it's a 6-footer. You've made 10 million of these, but they Jedi mind trick these teams.
I know.
And the reason Mike and I care is because we know they're looming 2-7, and I don't think either of us or any of the other Celtic fans we know have fully recovered from last year. Making the finals, but yet feeling kind of like you lost because it was almost such a disaster.
Yeah. Feeling like he got away with something because Jimmy front ironed that 3. And there is a dream scenario that is in front of us. The dream scenario is the Celtics get through whatever malaise this is, and the Bucks cool off because they won 14 in a row. And the Celtics end up with the 1 seed, and the Bucks are the 2 seed, and then it's 2-7 Milwaukee, Miami. And Miami Jedi mind tricks the Bucks and knocks them out because the Bucks are the best team in the East, I would say, at least right now they are.
They're the best team.
There's a weird chance that Miami knocks off the Bucks, that like they do to Giannis what they did to Embiid last night and just kind of strangle him, just drag him down into the muck and the sludge that they play in and slog out a 6-game or 7-game victory. But I really think Lebitard the other day asked me who are the 5 scariest teams in the East to the Celtics. I had the Heat at 1. I had the Bucks at 2 and the Heat at 1.
All right, because that's crazy.
It's not. I'm telling you, man. Don't bail on me now. I'm telling you, they in the playoffs are the scare. Like you know what the Bucks are. The Bucks are excellence, relentless excellence. Drew Holiday and Giannis and Brook Lopez, and you know that all the threes that are coming at you, and they have all those other guys, Connaughton, and all those guys who can shoot. But you know what they are. You can match up with them. They don't have what the Heat has, which is the dark arts. And I'm telling you, I do not want Miami in the playoffs. I think they're the scariest team, not because they're the best team. They're the worst offensive team in the conference. But to me, they're the scariest team to see in the playoffs.